Guys, you're welcome to this channel. If you are a new subscriber, I say welcome to this channel, and if you are one of my old subscriber, thank you for coming back. So in this video I'm going to show you a few tricks about cutting stretchy fabrics for fitted bodies. Okay, so the first thing you need to know is to get all your points, particularly your chest line, your bust point, and then your waistline. And now when you are dividing your bodies, you are going to minus exactly 5 inches from your regular bust. Let's say your bust is 35, you minus 35 from it, and you are going to divide 30 by 4 because it's too stretchy. Okay, so you are going to do that for all the bodies, your bust, your waist, and your hip. So here my bust normally is 34, so I minus 5 inches from it, and whatever it is that remain is what I marked here. It all depends on how fitted you want it to be, but I want it to be really fit on me, so I minus 5 inches from my bust and my waist and my hip. So you could do 4 inches if you really do not want it to be too curvy, but it will be fit on you. Now the next thing that I did was to move to my armhole area. Here I mark the length of my armhole as you see me doing, and on my chest line I will just go ahead and connect what I have on the shoulder down to my chest line. After doing that, the next thing to do is to get the midpoint of that armhole area. So I'm going to mark it like this, and I'm going to move my tape inward by 1/2 quarter, that is 7.25. okay, so this is what we are going to be having. This is because it is going to stretch anyways. Now I'm going to connect it all around, but before then, on my chest line I am going to mark whatever it is that I have on my shoulder. I will mark it down like so to have a straight line. You can see that the first line that I created wasn't straight enough to get my regular chest line connected, so I had to correct that. Make sure that whatever you have on your shoulder is what you have there, and then create your armhole curve. Connect your curve to your bust divided by 4, and then to that 1/2 quarter, and then to the upper side of your shoulder, and that's all. So we move to our neck area. The neck I'm going to be working with is 3 inches, so I'll just mark my 3 inches like so, and I'll connect my shoulder slope of 1 inch. Okay, don't forget shoulder slope is very important to avoid any bulginess on your shoulder. Okay, so I'll move to my hip. The hip measurement that I'm working with is 38, so I minus 5 inches from 38. That means you are going to be having 33, right? So I will divide 33 by 4, and I'm going to mark it on my hip area. So I mark 33 here, just like you see me placing my tape, and the remaining part of the fabric that I have serve as my stitching allowance. Okay, then you move to the hem of your gown. When you get to the hem of your gown, instead of removing 5 inches that you removed from the other bodies, you're going to be removing 6 inches. Why? Because you know there is a way we want our down part to be penciled and not really very sharp, except you want it to be the same width like your hip. So minus 6 inches from your hip, whatever it is that you have. Mine is 32, so I decided to mark 32 like that, divided by 4 on my hem. And don't forget our hip area that we used to work on, come down by 2 inches. That is my regular way of eliminating any bulginess on my hip. So just mark whatever it is that you have on your hip, and then add your stitching allowance. So the next thing I did was to connect like so. I connected it to my hip. With this, my hip is going to relax so well on my bodies. You can do it for any type of bodies. If you notice that somebody has a very big hip, just go down by 3 inches. It will work. It has always been working. So I'm going to connect my waistline. Guys, I made mistake here first. I was supposed to connect it to the waist. Okay, so I connected the hip to the allowance of the waist instead of connecting it to the allowance. So I corrected that by connecting the sewing allowance on the waist back to the sewing allowance on the hip. Did you see that? So the same thing on the bust area. Now we are done with all the bodies shaping. Okay, so the next thing for us to do now is to move to our shoulder area and cut. Mind you, I have folded both front and back together. I used to tell people most times when I'm cutting stretchy fabrics, so far I have imputed the armhole, the curve of my armhole to go in deep. I do not have to indicate between front and back. So let's move to our bust area. We are going to create our bust dart. The first thing you need to know is to make clear your bust line, your bust point. Okay, so let's cut out our shoulder before we move to that area. Now the shoulder is already out. Now the neck area, I want the back neck depth to be high, so I'm going to be using just 1.5 for the depth and then 3 inches for the width. Don't forget I'm using the same width for both front and back. So I'm just going to cut it out like you see me doing in this video. Just cut it out like so. Cut both front and back together. Then when we are done, we are going to work on the front neckline. Okay, we'll cut it all together. Now to the bust dart. So to get that, from that your bust point, come down by 1.5. From your bust point line that reaches the side, come down by 1.5. Now move to the center of your fabric, divide your nipple to nipple by 2, then mark where it stops. So this is where mine stop. Now you could do it in 2 ways. Either connect that bust dart directly to your nipple to nipple divided by 2, or you just come out of it like to the side by half an inch. So I love making my own to be far a bit from the bust point by half an inch. With that, it won't be sitting directly on my bust point. So you are just going to connect to that 1.5 that you came down with, like you see me doing in this video. It is just as simple as that. So with that, your bust area will sit perfectly well when working with stretchy fabrics. Now watch the way I'm going to cut this armhole area. So I want to cut the excess. When I get to that 1.5 area, I'm going to add excess to the back. I won't cut all the allowance like an arrow, okay, so that when I finish stitching, I won't be having shortage of fabric. I will just cut that excess out later. So I'll go to my waistline and cut it all through like you see me doing, since I'm using the other allowance for my bodies. Now that is where I'm going to hold our dart, and when I'm done, I will just cut the excess out. Now we are done with the front, and the back area does not have that. Mind you, the back area does not have bust dart, so I'm going to straighten out that excess. And please don't forget, when you are adding your length, make sure that you add that 1 inch to your length so that you don't have shortage. I added excess. My gown length was supposed to be 45, so I made it 46 instead because of that 1 inch that I'm going to be holding on the bust. So please take note of that. Now we are done cutting the back. I set that aside. Then we move to our front neckline. We need to create the type of neckline that we want. If you want yours to be turtleneck, you can just come down by maybe, let's say, 3 inches for the depth. But for me, I am making a V-neck for the front neck depth. So from my shoulder, I came down by just 6 inches because I really do not want it to show my cleavage. But you could come down as far as 7-8 inches, all depends on you. The next thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be grabbing my ruler and I'm going to connect it straight to my neck width like you see me doing in this video. It is just very simple as ABC. So now we have our front neckline all ready. Just go ahead and cut out that curve that you have. Okay, just cut it out carefully to the shoulder width, to the neck width rather. Now we are done with the cutting. Okay, so this is what we have eventually. I'm going to go and sew the shoulder dart, and before then I'll just show you brief way of sewing this, because I'm not really making a full video on how to sew it, because it's very simple. Just place your front piece like this after you might have joined your bust dart. Okay, then you place the back piece on it, join the shoulder together, then you can pipe the neck with whatever it is that you want to. Either you use bias taping or you just cut facing for both back and front. Then after doing that, match the sides together and sew on whatever allowance that you added earlier. If you added 1 inch, you don't have to start calculating how do I shape it. Just sew 1 inch all through. Now this is the sleeve that I created in my previous video. You can check the description. I'm going to link it up here. You can watch the video on how to cut the sleeve. So I'll just go ahead and attach the sleeve eventually. So guys, with this we have come to the end of this video. In my next short video, I'm going to show you the result of this design. See you guys in my next video. Please subscribe. Thank you.